And after all that doom and gloom, it's now time for some comic relief or dark humor, if you may. Guess what happened on a recent Abu Dhabi-Mumbai flight? You're thinking someone must have fought with the crew again or wrestled with a fellow traveler. You are not wrong, but this story is a little bit more scandalous. You shouldn't be surprised. Stories from India's aviation sector only get more colorful with each takeoff. And today's story involves a not-so-drunk passenger stripping on board. Like I said, it's scandalous. The main character in this story is a 45-year-old Italian woman. Her name is Paola Perusio. She was on board a Vistara flight from Abu Dhabi to Mumbai when things became turbulent. Paola demanded that she be given a business class seat. Did she have a business class ticket? Nope. Just a humble economy pass. So obviously the crew said no. But Paola would not take no for an answer. She insisted on settling for nothing but business class. And when she was stopped, Paola punched the crew member. She also allegedly spat on another crew member. But the turbulence did not end there. Soon Paola took off some of her clothes and decided to walk up and down the plane's aisle, partially nude. You must be thinking, who does that? Apparently people do, people like Paola. People like Shankar Mishra, remember the man in the P gate? He just got bail earlier today. Are you surprised? We are not. Mishra got drunk on a flight and then urinated on an old woman, a 70-year-old woman. He also very conveniently went missing when the story of his misdeed went viral. The cops somehow managed to nab him, but to what end? This filthy man, Shankar Mishra, is walking out on bail and against a bond of just 1 lakh rupees, which, let's face it, is just pocket change for him. He was, after all, in the leadership team of Wells Fargo. That's what happens, and that's how nothing happens when you misbehave on board an Indian flight. And that is why these stories keep resurfacing. I don't know how many of you read about this recent fixation with emergency exits. We all love to sit beside one. There is more leg space after all. More often than not, no one is seated next to you. So emergency exit seats are fun. But there are some who have recently decided to take the fun a notch up. How exactly? By opening the emergency exit. Recently, a passenger flying from Nagpur to Mumbai tried to remove the cover of the emergency exit. The plane was mid-air. Was the passenger suicidal? Not just in the mood for some maybe just in the mood for some thrill, perhaps? He wasn't the first to try this stunt. Believe it or not, the trend was set by an Indian legislator. A couple of weeks ago, a member of the Indian Parliament, Tejasvi Surya, was traveling from Chennai. He was assigned an emergency row seat. The crew briefed him on how to open the door during and only in the case of an emergency. But why wait for an emergency when you can trigger one? Guess what this MP did? He opened the emergency exit. The plane was still on ground. People were boarding, and then everything had to come to a standstill. Passengers were asked to get off the plane. The door was reinstalled. The safety checks had to be carried out all over again before the passengers were onboarded again, and the plane could finally take off for its destination. Guess when it landed? At least 2 hours past its scheduled time. So much for the fun, right? Stories like these have unfortunately become a daily affair. Almost every day, you wake up to a notification of another turbulent flight, another unruly passenger. Let me now show you what happened on a recent SpiceJet flight.
क्या बोला मैंने उसे? क्या बोला? क्या बोला मुझे? मुझसे बोला मैं। बैठो। आप मेरे बच्चे के बराबर हैं। She's crying, literally crying. हिंदी में बात करो।
The man who is fighting it out with the crew is Afsar Alam. He is a resident of Delhi. A couple of days ago, Afsar was traveling to Hyderabad. He was accompanied by his family. The flight crew alleges Afsar misbehaved with a cabin attendant. What exactly happened? Here's what the cops have to say. I'm quoting. It has been alleged that a woman crew member was loading luggage in the overhead storage compartment when a passenger touched her inappropriately on the thigh. She confronted the passenger, who created ruckus on the flight. The passenger was deboarded and handed over to the cops. And something similar happened on a flight from Goa to Mumbai as well. Passengers misbehaved, they were offloaded and handed over to the cops. But what happens after that? Where is the part 2 of the story? That is where we lose the plot. People are let off. They walk out of police stations scot-free. There is no punitive action. And the same story repeats itself again and again and again. Guess what? It is time to change that ending. If you are working in the airline industry, or if you are a frequent flyer or a policymaker, and you are watching us tonight, you know best how to go about making this change. So do your bit and keep the skies pleasant. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.